That's good though. Not pumpkin spicy yet though, thank goodness. Oh my God. Maybe they just won't have pumpkin spice this year because of COVID. Crossing my fingers. No? Uh-oh. I see some pumpkin spice fans in here. They will not. All right. Now I've gone too far. You didn't go too far with pay your taxes, Jason, but pumpkin spice bans will not do. That is not a platform that is going to get you elected. All right, all right, all right. Okay, here we go. This question. And I love this question. This question seems like it's not as interesting at first. And the question is, do you consider Olive Garden fast food? The reason that it's usually might not be considered as interesting is because we always have an overwhelming number of students that choose no. And this time I think 10 or 11 choose yes, and 30 chose no. So overwhelmingly, this is about what I see every semester. We're like, no. So let's get into it. And a little secret background information. My partner worked there for 5 or 6 years. Yeah, and she's not a corporate person, but she did serving. And I have served. Raise your hand if you've ever been a server in your life. There we go. That's a lot of folks. So we already know the rule is, and I think I mentioned this earlier this semester, you can't go out and eat unless you tip 20%. If you want to go sit and have somebody bring you 47 napkins and 3 drink refills, or even look and pretend to smile at you like they care about your life, that's 20% starting. But I have been a server myself. I do know about Darden restaurants, and I am privy to some serious information on this one. So let's talk about it. Why is Olive Garden fast food? How is it fast food, or how is it not? And the way that we voted is 3 times in favor of not. However, let's discuss this. We're talking about processes, the McDonaldization of society, uniformity, and also we're going to talk about how that food was different. I mean, fast food was different when I was a kid. It was not ammonia nitrate, pink slime, and cellulose sawdust. It was meat. And it wasn't perfect, I'm sure, but it's quite a bit different than it is today. So, all right, what do you think? I'll stop talking now. What do you think? Why is it, or why is it not? Oh, Mackenzie, so weird that now we have virtual jokes. Well, that's only because my jokes aren't that good. They wouldn't seem like virtual jokes if they were good jokes. You'd just be like, oh, that's a joke. But I'm into dad zone, dad joke territory, which lets me really get away with so much. All right, what do you think? Why is Olive Garden fast food, or why is it not?
I'll go, Jason. So I associate Olive Garden with fast food because I associate most chain restaurants with processed foods, and I associate processed foods with fast foods. So not even the whole McDonaldization of everything, but just the food itself and how it's all processed and everything like that.
All right, so let's talk about the food in the back door. The food in the back door there is for sure either Cisco or US Foods, or it's one of the biggies. That's pretty. I mean, they supply a lot of restaurants, which keys us in on our food system and just how that is. But yeah, most of the stuff there is frozen at Olive Garden. Most of it comes in plastic bags. And I'm sure that plastic is not a safe plastic, if there is a safe plastic, meaning like, with things that don't leach, like those Nalgene's used to leach, and then they're trying to make them out of a different plastic that doesn't. I always go with like a really expensive, like metal silver water bottle, like a clean canteen, and then I lose it. You leave one of those things on campus for 30 seconds and it is gone because people know they're good. But we could talk about that too, but as far as like environmental aspects of that. But it's in plastic and they're frozen. And then of course they dip it in, they put it in the water, they boil it, they uncover it. They don't make the sauces there separately. There's not like some saucier back there like, oh, here's your portobello, whatever, right? It's got to taste the same or else grandma and grandpa are going to get pissed, right? I mean, that's sort of one of those uniformity pieces. So you can't have somebody doing their own sauce at an Olive Garden in St. Louis. I don't know why I picked St. Louis. Than like down in Denver. It's got to be the same. The breadsticks are frozen. They had to actually, inside word, they had to replace the breadsticks 8 or 9 years ago because they're finding staples and mouse droppings in them. Gonna back it off now. Gonna back it up. Like I said, Julie worked there, and after that, no more breadsticks for her. Anyway, okay. So quality of the food, that's our first one. All right. So you're saying is like fast food because the quality is it's pretty processed. It's not like somebody's looking to source local ingredients, for even the salads or something like that, right? Okay. So let me read this one. I'm in hospitality management majors. We actually learned about how to classify different types of restaurants. Olive Garden is considered casual family dining, which has the characteristic of sitting down, ordering with a server, and being served food accommodations. The classification of fast food include drive-throughs, no personal server. Okay, so here's a bunch of things. Let's get to one of these things, and there's a lot here, but go ahead. I'll wait for somebody. You don't have to pick something off this list. What were you gonna say, or you can, as far as why is it or why isn't it fast food? Although now I know that we've got like many different classifications. Casual family dining, opposed to people that don't have kids and can afford really nice restaurant. No, wait. All right, tell us about it. What do you think?
I said that it wasn't fast food because of the way that I grew up. We ate at places like that all the time when I grew up. And we ate a lot of processed stuff at home too. And like, so for us, that was like really nice. Going to Olive Garden was like, ooh, this is fancy, It was very different from going through the drive-thru and getting a Happy Meal, which we also did all the time,
Right.
But that is changing for me, the way that I'm seeing that. And I'm realizing all of this stuff about our food and all of that. So it's shifting for sure. But most of my life, I have looked at Olive Garden as a nicer restaurant and not fast food.
Good. Yeah. I mean, so let's pick one. What's one thing that they might not be fast food?
A locally owned restaurant that does that do all their sourcing locally, ethically, and all that good stuff.
For sure. Sorry, I meant what's one tangible thing that makes Olive Garden not fast food? Like we've kind of talked about the overall picture, but what's the specific?
I feel like you sit down to eat it, and I feel like that really makes a difference because you're like sitting with everybody. I don't know. I feel like that definitely changed the dynamic between fast food and like a dine-in restaurant.
Like a sit down like at a table that's bigger than like maybe a fast food tiny table or
Yeah, and I feel like
server.
you're served
There you
too,
go.
so you get that like experience.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about that, right? So they do have servers and they even wear ties, right? Right. I mean, I think they used to anyway. Julie used to have like a collection of these ties. They were all pretty much the same, even though they were all pretty much slightly different. But yes, all right. So you've got somebody dressed up and they come up to your table and they take your order. All right, good. So there's a server. There's somebody that I mean, if you're at McDonald's, you can't probably sit there at the table and snap your fingers and be like, "Hello, where's my refill? Where's my napkins?" Okay, good. What else?
Is my mic working?
It is. Sounds good.
Okay, sweet. One of the things I said is like I feel silly now, like going back and seeing that I said it's fast food because I've literally worked in only fast food or like the food service.
Right.
But kind of like continuing on, I think why I said no is we've all like contributed like ideas to this, but I think it's like the whole environment. Like the second you walk in, it's like dim lighting, everyone's in like ties and everything. I mean,
Right.
in my like hometown, Olive Garden was like the go-to place for like homecoming dinners,
Right.
like prom dinners. Like you just feel very like I know I said this before, but like you feel very bougie going there. You're like, wow, look at me, this fancy Italian restaurant, even though the food is probably processed and my spaghetti came from plastic bags. So
Right. Well, I think in my hometown, it's the Cullivers that is considered to be like a nice restaurant. Like, because that somehow is a step up from McDonald's and Wendy's or something like that. I don't, that, there's
yeah. We just got one by us, ironically, and everyone kind of flipped out about it.
Hey. Okay, so they create an atmosphere, right? The food is probably hold on, my dog is trying to get in. Dogs. I got it. Ah, Huckle. We just realized last night that he's 9 years old. Look at that good boy at 9 years old. Oh, he's out. He doesn't want to hear it. All right, good. Okay, what else? So, I mean, we're creating the illusion, and maybe it's not an illusion because you do sit and somebody does come up to the table, right? What else though? There's other things too. I like where we're headed, or at least we're starting to make a case one way and the other.
I think also the type of food is what signifies it's not really fast food, because when you think of other fast food places, it's like burgers and chicken, but Olive Garden has more of a theme and a type of genre of food that they serve that kind of signifies it's not really fast food.
Okay, yeah. Like, what is the genre of hamburger and French fry? It used to be like American, but maybe it's just fast food now. So yeah, you're doing Italian, you're doing, I don't know, Mexican restaurant, Thai food, something that's more specific. I always have to say Thai food because Cafe de Bangkok is my favorite place to eat in town, hands down. You've never been there. It's by the college. It's a hole in the wall with the best food. Shouldn't even tell this many people because I don't want to screw up a good thing, but I want them to stay open. So Cafe de Bangkok on Elizabeth. Yep, that's Thai. It's amazing. All right, sit down. And I see somebody here that said, you gotta wait, right? So there's some form of waiting that makes it maybe not fast food. I mean, we know you get stuck waiting for fast food, but not 20 minutes. 20 minutes waiting at fast food, people would probably be irate. Not probably, people would be irate. I imagine. They have, oh, I love this one. We didn't get this one yesterday. They have cloth napkins. There you go. Right, cloth napkins instead of paper napkins. Definitely. They sell an image of fancy Italian. Yep. I think classifying as fast food, talking about Olive Garden at 8 a.m. still makes me crave it. Yeah. Now that I mentioned Thai food, I want that right now. Yep. I think I'm biased on whether fast food or not because the only I've ever eaten as, okay, dirty, gross, and even though it's sit down, it did not feel like a nice sit down restaurant at all. Right. I second Olive Garden. I automatically think breadsticks, but then they have all you can eat. So do we really think of Golden Corral as a nice restaurant or buffet places then there's a whole different thing. Because when I was growing up in high school, and I'm going to tell you this, you might be like, huh? Wendy's had a buffet. It was called the Super Bar. It was like a whole taco bar. Every Wendy's had it. KFC had a buffet. I mean, I'm telling you, in the Midwest, they're just gonna, as much food as they can feed you, that's what they're gonna do right there. Like that's kind of the goal. Small Chinese restaurants were all buffet restaurant. Like it was when I was growing up, that was the thing. All right, 2 forks. If they give you 2 forks, a salad fork and a regular fork. All right, good. All right, so what else? We've gotten to a few things, but I think we're missing a few key things.
There's a wine list.
There you go. So you can drink alcohol at a restaurant maybe, and that might be not fast food. But can't you get beer at Chipotle? I mean, they sell like craft beers, I think. They have bottled beer. Look at the looks on your faces. It's been a while, but I feel like, yeah, Chipotle locations have a thing where you can get beers. Or at least this is like 2 or 3 years ago. Zion had a basketball practice somewhere, and I was super hungry. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I justified it because I think they sourced their meat somehow slightly responsibly or something. But yeah, there was a whole thing of beer, and I was like, what? I don't know. Maybe they've got like supersized. They got Coke now, right, at McDonald's, and then they have like a wine thing. The thing you can just put your cup under. And it'll like throw wine. If you can do a box of wine, McDonald's can probably do that, right? All right. What else? Anything else? Alcohol, a dessert menu. Okay, so asking you if you want to order more food after you've eaten your food. So at McDonald's, once you've eaten your food, nobody comes up to you and is like, would you like another Big Mac, sir? So now you've got a dessert menu here. All right. The foldable napkin to believe it sit down. Addition of the foldable napkin, right? You mean like folding it in a nice way? Like a tent fold or whatever that might be, a swan, something like that. All right, good. All right, but okay, so a drive-through. Before COVID, you could drive up and get curbside service though, right, at Olive Garden? So if you did want to get a drive-through type experience there, you could, right? Imagine a drive-through Well, they do. They have curbside pickup. I mean, you don't go through an arch or anything, but it's the same deal. You get up there and you're like, I need some food. That might also be like takeout though, so you could look at it that way. That a lot of restaurants do that. All right, good. So when we talk about the McDonaldization of society, really, and I've got that question, a lot of times there's not right or wrong answers, but when I say what is meant by that, a lot of people said the rapid increase of fast food chains, but it's not. It's B, the non-fast food organizations mimic the organizational principles. So maybe Darden restaurants, maybe Red Lobster, I don't even know if they're around anymore, and Olive Garden, you know, they have a different thing going on than fast food, but they have the same organizational principles. Here's how people are working on shifts. Here's how we order the food in a unified way. Here's how we serve it and just kind of reheat it out of the plastic bag, no matter what that is. Maybe they make the salad there. I mean, that sounds reasonable. Like you got to throw the salad together probably, but it's probably cut already. Nobody's actually probably even doing that to the salad. So how you cook, how you lay it out, how it comes out, how they treat the workers there, probably all very similar to corporate fast food type principles, but with some difference. It's interesting to me that over time, even the thing that used to separate it the most, the food, is now sort of what's the most similar. And it's really become the presentation of it that's the different part, for sure. Yep, lettuce is pre-cut and packaged. All you have to do and top it. Yep, so I figured here.
So I find this really interesting because I've worked in restaurants. I worked in restaurants for 10 years, and I worked at Olive Garden, and I worked at super fine dining places in Chicago where you pay $50 for a plate of dinner, you know,
right,
and everything in between. And it was really surprising to me to learn that places like Olive Garden and Carino's and things like that have just like packaged stuff that you open, you know, whereas the nicer places, they still actually have some of those things like for sides and everything, but things like meat and all of that is typically like delivered fresh. It's not frozen. It's, you know, but I still never thought about Olive Garden and things like that as fast food, even though I saw that stuff happening. So it's just interesting to me. Like, this is a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, and like I said, at first, the question seems like, meh, but each semester that I've asked this, it's like we've gotten it's like so much more intricate than all of that. And again, that's why Soch, I think, is really, really, really interesting. So now instead of looking at something like restaurants or even the debates or the political current climate crisis, any of these things, looking at them through a sociological lens is like, here's how you used to see things, but now you're equipped with this. You know what I'm saying? And this means that you can do this, which is not just increase the size of your lens, but the perspectives from which you're able to understand things. I know this is how excited I get about sociology, but for real, I think that once you understand these things, it makes you more powerful in your life in whatever way that it is your desire to be more powerful or help other people or the institutions out. You know, having a good foundation in sociology lets us be able to just be more equipped to be able to do that. And I just think of the time that I was 18. I mean, come on. All right, you know me well enough by now. I was on academic probation 3 times during my master's degree, right? Like first week for protesting the ROTC that they were set up inside the building, protesting because a bunch of students that were not students of color walked out on a professor of color to try and take another class, and another time for like, I mean, it was kind of never ending as far as my pursuit and how I went about trying to, you know, like equal rights, student rights, what does that look like? But sociology, once you get to that point, then instead of just being like super passionate about it, you're backing it up with all sorts of really important socially scientific like perspectives and paradigms. And so you go from super passionate about something, but to knowledgeable and capable. Then look at the guys sneaking up and down the stairs in the background. But then you get, passionate with knowledge. And that's what's effective, right? That's what's really going to, we talk about change, there's something that you want changed. That's not going to take place by just being passionate. You're going to have to back that up so that institutions understand it and then can be manipulated and be changed by it. Important stuff. All right. How can they deliver unlimited breadsticks? They've got a truck with a black hole in it that they have manipulated space and time, and they just keep pulling breadsticks out of it. So I don't know. All right. So those are those processes, and those processes just aren't applied from fast food. People in all sorts of industries took a look at that sort of mechanization and mass production kind of process and followed through with it for sure. All right. Go ahead.
Sorry, can I throw something in real quick?
Please do.
Kind of continuing what Ali was saying. I know I throw in TikTok all the time, but like one of the things that happened, how she was talking about how she like didn't really realize most of this, and like I worked at Dairy Queen forever, and like I didn't even think about it until now about like how many things I had to unbag. I mean, our ice cream's fresh, but like I don't know, it just makes you kind of think about that stuff a bit. But on TikTok, this girl posted how Subway meat is like in a bag, heated, and then thrown into a tub so then they can put it on. And she actually got fired because it blew up on TikTok, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, no way, that's like what Subway meat comes from, and everyone freaked out. And then the same thing happened with Panera because someone posted a video of them warming up a bag of their, famous, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I can see the reactions now. Someone was warming up a bag of the mac and cheese, just a big old plastic bag of mac and cheese, unzipped it, and then poured it into one of their bread bowls, and people were like, hold the phone, this isn't fresh. Like, just makes you like
oh my god, it's like as if there's some guy back there who's like 17, super ripped, right? Like hitting his vape pen, like totally, he's like just making the best soup ever. Like, no, that's not happening.
Not in the slightest.
I'm not disparaging 17-year-old people that work at Panera who vape in between all of their breaks and while they're at work, because my students literally are vaping I haven't been there now, name of the building, Clark, inside. Like last semester, I was waiting outside for my class, and a guy's standing next to me, and he hits his vape pen and looks over at me. He has no idea I'm a teacher, right? I don't even know how, but I could tell he had kind of thought maybe I was an older, really old, non-traditional student. And I was like, because he was waiting for the other class. I was like, really, man? Inside the building? And he's like, so I was like, okay. So not disparaging, but yeah, like, what do we think they're doing back there in that kitchen? You know what I'm saying? Like pressing down hamburger patties, you just got that thing in like 2.5 minutes and the fries are already soggy. That's why that's one thing. I can't believe that they actually do delivery of fast food. This is where, if you've ever had delivery of fast food,
I agree with that.
I'm not trying to shame
you. Delivery for a Dairy Queen.
How can that taste good more than 30 seconds later? I mean, Crazy Carl's is good for about 5 minutes, and then maybe the next day.
True.
But it's like got a small window. All right.
No,
I just think it's funny that that's the veil of our food system, right?
No, that the fact that people would DoorDash, Grubhub, you name it, like blizzards to their house. I was like, what? Like, what's the point in this? It's going to be basically melted by the time you get it.
Well,
oh no, it did not make sense to me.
We're a culture of convenience. And this is really like, convenient food is oftentimes, we've been taught, it didn't happen for no reason. Over the last 30, 40 years, families sit down less to meals. People have to work more jobs to make the same amount of money. Come on, right? You don't have to do that if we get collective action, but we do. And so then we need to eat our meals faster, and we're okay if the quality of it is worse, and then our health suffers, and then it costs billions and billions of dollars into our healthcare system. That's not conservative. That's not conserving money. That's not good for your country. It costs a ton of money to be unhealthy and sick from your food system, for sure. Now, that being said, we're still in 2020 and people are still surprised that there's not a soup person back there in Olive Garden or in the back of Panera. Like, it's disappointing to people. So how do we do that? Well, you educate people about food systems. And I love it because it is funny. People are like, oh, don't ruin it for me. I also get that because as human beings, we have little pleasures. You know what one of mine is? sushi that's not really sushi from King Super. I mean, I know it's not sushi, and it's got some crazy mayo on it that's orange, that's not supposed to be good, but it's delicious. I'm going to convince myself just for a tiny moment that that's sushi. I know it is. It is, matter of fact, it is assaulting the good name of sushi, and I know that. But yeah, so we all have that, right? Obviously. Okay. The idea, though, is, does fast food have to be that gross? It does not. Does food that's, mass produced have to be that unsafe? It does not have to be, right? And but once we get those organizational principles, we mimic that in a lot of ways. All right, last thing here. I have here, let me see. Which of the following would you like? More primary relationships, 21 people said more, and about the same was 17, and fewer were like 0. Okay, so primary relationships are these small groups that we're like close to, right? Our family, maybe a small sports team or your band, your really small group of friends. You know what I'm saying? The relationships last longer. You cover more territory, right? A secondary group, my example is like work, or on my slides I have Congress, right? A primary group is like your family. I got a slide of me kissing my dad, and then secondary is like a work situation or a classroom. Think about it. This class would have 150 people in it. It's 8 a.m. Half the people would be showing up. You sit next to somebody for 4 months and you don't even know their name, right? Like we do that all the time. So secondary groups, larger, more impersonal, and they're like a means to an end. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get something out of that. You go to work, you get your paycheck. Kind of like this, like, check it out. If you ask somebody to, or somebody asks you to cover their shift at work and you agree to cover their shift, what's the expectation? Like, what's your expectation in return? Do you do it because you're a primary group and you just do it like you do something out of kindness for your family members, or do you have an expectation?
I mean, I do it because then I get extra shifts and I get extra money.
Okay, but there's something else that I'm thinking of.
I think that, can you hear me? Is my mic working?
It's a little weird, but
Sorry. I think that, like, when I'm new, it's important if someone asks me to pick up my shift that I do, because in the future, if I need someone to pick up my shift, then they, like, will pick mine up for me.
yeah, exactly. Like, you're okay, I'm free this weekend, I'll do that. But in the back of your head, you're also like, and in addition to the money, you're going to owe me one, right? Because if you need somebody to cover a shift, you're likely going to be like, hey, I need some help, right? And what's the motivation? Maybe it's money, but probably you're keeping tabs. If you keep tabs in a family, you are in trouble, right? Hey, I did the dishes 3 times this week and I flushed the toilet when the boys didn't twice, and I cleaned this and I got groceries once, and you only did that one time and this only, like, that's not going to work. In a primary group, you're not going to be in that group of friends for very long if you're always keeping tabs on each other and not just doing things because you're involved in that group, right? So primary, really strong. Secondary is like a work thing. So most people in here said either more primary relationships or I have enough as it is, but nobody said less. So a couple things here. One thing I want to know is, did you say more primary relationships and why? Or the same number and why? And secondly, is it harder since quarantine and COVID to socialize? Like, I know I'm not just saying, like, that's a baited question. You know that. But in what ways is it tougher? Because this could really have, and does really have, a huge impact on our ability to sort of do human stuff, right? Whether that's the dorm doors, everybody's doors being open, and or study groups, or whether that's just dating. Like, I want to hear about this. This is important to us because it's going to be sociologists that are looking at the repercussions of these types of things and trying to figure out how human beings can maintain and reclaim that socialization. Because it's essential to us as human beings. We need other people to survive. We know that, through the slides, if you watch the videos, we know that, right? So what do you think? More or less friends? How has it been challenging, or what are some of the challenges? of socializing now? Yeah.
So my wife and I, we we moved out here last November to go to for me to attend CSU. So we got here in November. The wife was expecting at the time. I had never even been out to Colorado before making the move. She had. So we got here. We got hit with that 2 foot of snow like right when we got here, and then school started in January. COVID hit. Fast forward to what are we at? October now. Still zero.
Exactly.
Still zero friends, nothing to do. Like before the shutdown happened, we would go to I think it was Hodie's Half Note, and they had like free stand up on Mondays, and that was amazing. That was super cool because they didn't have that where we moved from.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's given us a jaded perspective of Colorado, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's psychology people are going to hate me for this. That's crazy, right? Because Hodie's, I played one of my first shows there in this town. Like we ended up playing at the Aggie all the time because you pack a place and then you go to the next place. But I have so many memories of Hodie's, and they just closed for good. They finally had to call it. So live music and comedy and going out, and you have actually, your example is really, I love how different each of my classes are because I get different examples. That's a huge one. Move to the state, don't even have a feel for it, realistically, to tell you.
Still don't have friends yet. We're still trying to like socialize, get to know people. Yeah.
And now, of course, that's so different. For sure. I think
I want to be my friend.
What'd you say?
I said, so if anybody wants to be my friend, we're taking it.
This is sociology. We got everybody covered, man. Like whether we're an only child and we get into the family discussion, you can reveal how bizarre your family is here. Just anything. Yeah, that's great. Okay, it's okay. We still have 3 years left of 2020. I haven't heard that one yet. I actually haven't heard that one yet. That's pretty good. All right, what else? How else has it been challenging, or do you need more friends, or do you have enough? I mean, we're talking about big stuff here, right, for human beings.
Okay, so for me, COVID kind of happened like at the end of my senior year. And so I went from like all these people that I saw every day going to school in the hall. And then all of a sudden, all I had was like my mom and my brothers. And then we went to college and all I have is my roommate, and like that's it. Nobody else. So I went from like this seeing a whole bunch of people on the daily, even like not that you really have connections with any of them, but you still see them, to like literally one person a day.
Yeah, I miss my campus time, and I miss so many things, but like, yeah, I mean, obviously, like you make eye contact with a ton of people every single day. I mean, even if people have earbuds in now, and now they put those in, even if they're not listening to music, so that they don't have to talk to people, well, you still make eye contact, right? I mean, we still have these little things that were big things that I think now people are realizing are big things, but we used to think they were little things, right? So this isn't like a small paradigm shift. This is a massive paradigm shift. And also for James, like, right? Like when you have a kid, you are all of a sudden already isolated. Honestly, we lived in Loveland for the first 10 years, and I didn't even hate it that much because I could have been living in a hole in the ground. The first 5 years the boys were born, I was just like trying to keep up with life and didn't get any sleep. And look, I am not a big fan of Loveland. I'm gonna tell you that after living there for a while. It's not my favorite place in the world. That being said, I hardly even noticed till the last few years we were there because we were just getting out. So I think on top of that, the parent thing is like self-isolation already in a certain way. I mean, it's not you don't want to go out, but baby's crying. All right. Been lots of issues with friendships, interviews, COVID, the only one being careful, my friend group, which means I'm not around them a lot, which in turn means they push farther away from me. It's hard when you only have very few primary groups to start with. Yeah, absolutely. The stuff that I have seen typed from students over the last 2 days, I told Julie last night in bed, I said, this is like my private, you wouldn't know any of them and you can't see any names, but if I were to read you the list of how quarantine has changed their lives, because I asked that of my other class, it's heavy, and I think that people are going to get other people through it. That's the only way people are going to get other people through it. But obviously that's compounded by uncertainty and the political, climate of just shit showness. and just stuff not having people feel really comfortable with anything right now, you know. So yeah, good. Harder to make friends, especially if you're the careful one. That's a really interesting quote. You know, Julie and I are very careful, and so is our band. I'm lucky that the band guys I'm with all wear masks all throughout the whole practice, and I sing, and that's tough for me to not just talk behind a mask, but sing, do a whole thing behind that. But I'm dedicated. We all have families, and we know there's a lot at stake. But yeah, especially when your group of friends might not be as concerned, you know. But yeah, thanks. Somebody said thanks for being careful anyway. Absolutely, absolutely. And that doesn't mean those people suck. It just means that human beings are going to adapt to this differently. Like some human beings are not going to be able to not engage. You know, I've had some really good friends over the last few months want to just reach out and give me giant hugs. And I'm that guy. I'm not even the hand between us two and slap you on the back kind of guy hug guy. I'm going to give me a hug no matter, come on in here, come on in, right? You know, but so people, you can tell body language and you can tell right away where people are at with this thing, like immediately. Good. All right. What else? Who else? How has it changed for you? How has it changed your group of friends, the size of it, and or your needs for that? Go ahead.
So for me, I feel pretty fortunate because it hasn't changed a whole lot for me, because when I think about how I've communicated with the people that are closest to me, my best friend lives in Boulder. So we used to see each other before COVID, maybe once a month, if that. And we just talk on the phone every day. And then I'm really close with my cousins and they're in California. So we talk like on a chat. And even like I own a business, but I do it all virtually. I'm a copywriter. And so I just do it virtually. So I really haven't felt that much of an impact, and it's really shown me how virtual my life is already. So yeah. I mean, I feel fortunate for that, and also I'm like, is that a problem? So
yeah, no, I've also heard that somebody at the cross country race, just one of the coaches said, yeah, this hasn't changed for my son much because he communicates through everybody online. Like, he's doing kind of the same thing he's been doing in my basement for years previous to this. I like Gen Z built different. Yep. The boys. Sorry, I'm just throwing that one out there. My 15-year-old has been using that all the time, and I saw somebody use that the other day when I said something about name a primary group you're a part of. The boys. Yeah. That's now a thing. Sierra, the whole situation has impacted my mental health. So when I get mentally out of whack, it's hard to make yourself socialize when you're already feeling isolated. Hard to get out of a rut, just feeling like doing nothing. Yeah. Yep, I can feel that one too, for sure. And like I said before, I'm an only child, so I kind of can handle, I think, more of that. But then the other day, even Julie was like, yeah, you should probably get out and talk to somebody. Like, how about just away from the farm? I mean, not necessarily away from me, but just, you know, you put a mask on and go talk to somebody in the grocery store, because she knows I'm that kind of person. I was the kind of person that always went into the bank because I like talking to the bank people. I always went into the grocery store, chat. Like my dad is the same way. Like I want to talk to people. Like, and that's like, it doesn't matter if I know you. That's why I love having 700 students, because I love having so many conversations with people, whether it's office hours or whether it's after class or stuff like that. So yeah, good. Anybody else on this whole socialization piece and how it's different, you know, or anything like that?
I'm gonna throw in fast food service again. I'm sorry, Caitlin. I know you've been trying to talk for the longest time. I'm gonna make this quick. But also, I've realized in like fast food, it's become difficult to like socialize with people, which I know sounds weird because usually when people get food, they want to be in and out of there super quick. But like when I'll smile at people with masks now, like you could have no idea if I'm smiling at you or not. Like, I don't know. Someone put in the chat earlier, but like it is awkward. It's just awkward interactions now because especially with masks, it makes you realize how like little we can see expressions from other people. And that was just one thing I've noticed.
Yeah, and you know, however many muscles we have in our face, and what is it, 80%, Yua? Is it 80% and above of all of our communication is nonverbal communication? I mean, the number is somewhere around there anyway. So imagine, I mean, think of the ways that just how you pick up vibes from people has changed once they put a mask on. Because I think it's harder to tell, but now we're adapting, right? It's harder to tell at first, but now all of a sudden you're working around these things. I think human beings look better without this anyway. Like look at how awesome we all look. Less of our face is probably a good thing for some of us. I'm fine with that. Although my beard is my only distinguishing feature, and that's immediately gone with it. So just, totally blend in. Nobody really recognizes me with a baseball hat on. And you would, because I just throw a hat on because it's 8 a.m. and I'm not about to be putting the product in, like Storm is in the morning. All right. And yes, I used to put product in. I've had a perm. I've had my hair dyed. I've had a mohawk. You wouldn't believe the hair I have had in my lifetime. I used to be able to read lips really well. Ooh, but not anymore, right? It's about reading the eyes now. Were you going to chime in, Caitlin, and say something?
Yeah, sure. I was just gonna say I was like super social. So during like Corona, I was like, when it first happened, I was like so confused. And I was like what does this mean? Like I have to like be the type of person that has to be around so many people. And like I love being around people. So like someone telling me that like I can't do that, I was like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Right. Well, so my dad is 10 times more social than I am. Like, you think I have a big personality? That guy right there is like, I thought he was going to die within the first month, because I called my mom and I'm like, how are you going to keep that guy out of the store talking to everybody? How are you going to keep him? Like, he runs 47 errands a day. Like, the guy would just be just like a target on him because of that. But so both my parents got really good. And somehow my dad is able to, I don't know, she must have him just driving around country roads or something. I have no idea how my dad is adapting.
Yeah, like that's the same way. He just likes to talk to every single person he sees.
Yep. And my dad sang in a band for like 50 years in a town of 26,000 people. So where I'm mildly famous after 15 years in a town of 150 here, he is like very famous still 40 years later in a town of 26,000. So he knows that. And so he also is, because he did public stuff like singing in it, he also is, so yep, I really should look in on him more often, because I don't know, either he's just watching more TV or he's driving around back road. I hope he's just driving around back roads or something. At least he's getting out, but yeah. I used to read lips. What are lips? Yeah, we're missing also. That's good. We're missing all sorts of this from folks. That's interesting. All right. Well, yeah. Good conversation this morning. And really, we get in these conversations not to be casual, but so that we can understand all the theory and all the soch that I'm talking about in my lectures. And then now we're bringing into here. Now we need to, in class, I'd lecture for a slide and we talk. I'd lecture for a slide and we talk. We would still talk just as much. It would just be interspersed with that. So in the meantime, I want to make sure that you're watching the lectures, that you're reading the book and looking through the slides. If you have any questions from the slides, who's that? What's this about? Please let me know, and ask those questions. I don't just want to answer questions about top hat and due dates. And I have noticed over the last 10 years, my students ask less and less and less and less questions, which makes things easier and easier and easier for me, because I don't have to answer challenging things in front of a room full of 200 people and pretend that I'm smart, right? So don't make it easy on me. If you have some questions about things, please let me know. Let's dig in deep. I'm going to be meeting with a few students one-on-one over the next maybe one tomorrow, and maybe next week one couple that I haven't set up yet. But look, if people want to chat and talk about soc or it being a major, somebody's reached out to do an interview for something else, look, just stay in touch. Remember, Ewa and Verena, we are here, even though we're not here. Even Verena's in Germany and she's still here for you. I mean, come on. If she's your GTA, talk to her about a paper or your grade, just to make connection. Here's the deal with the GTA thing. These people are kind of quiet in the background, grading your work and doing incredible, they're getting their masters and their doctorates. These are people you want to meet. Trust me. If you at all even think I'm somewhat of an interesting teacher, then I guarantee you would think that your GTAs are super cool, awesome, loving, compassionate, and super smart individuals. And we are a dream team. It's the three of us. We are the equivalent of the Bulls during the 90s. No questions asked. And am I Michael Jordan? I'm not. Yua is Michael Jordan. I'm Scottie Pippen. That's right. Because that's always who I wanted to be when we were playing when we were playing in our backyard when I was growing up. Everybody wanted to be Michael, and I was Scotty, and so I always got to be Scotty because nobody wanted to be Scotty. So yes. Anyway, one last thing before I go. Got this in the mail yesterday. That's right. Oh, The Mandalorian. It's a retro issue. Oh, yeah. Black Series. That's right. Do I buy toys? All the time. How else when you're 47 are you going to still be a kid? That's a good way to do it. All right, everybody. Frustrated Gruners. Mando 2. It's this month, right? Mandalorian Season 2 is coming up here. Sports. Bears are 3-0. I don't know. What were you going to say?
Mandalorian comes out on the 30th.
Yeah. Yes. And I like how they do it. I like one episode at a time. I'm fine with that. I think human beings, I don't know if we're responsible with watching 20 episodes of anything at once. I just got into Tacoma FD. Those are the guys that did Super Troopers. If you have never seen, it's a series about firefighters. Oh my goodness. It's a riot. But yeah, I'm not sure. And I hate the term binge because, of course, sociologically, we know the challenges that people face in regards to eating disorders. And now we kind of start to overlap that stuff. So I'm not a big fan of that. So instead of binging, we'll just say unhealthy watching of 20 episodes of anything is probably dangerous, even Star Wars. No! No! All right. Well, speaking of Star Wars, yes. I'm going to go out in my garden. All you people, be good people and do good things and stay positive and compassionate with each other and help your brothers and your sisters out because that's exactly where we're living and what we're living in. And that's always how it is. We always need to uplift people who are not there yet in regards to equality, right? That's our job as human beings. Take care of everybody. Peace. Be well.
Thank you.